Fat Man on Batman. I'm Kevin Smith. We are at the American Comedy Club here in San Diego, where it is Comic-Con International 2016. Put your hands together so the people at home know you're here. Day one of the con, official day one of the con Thursday, unless some people do come down on Wednesday.
I came down on Wednesday.
And was the con open? Could you walk the floor?
At 6 o'clock, you could go and navigate the sea of sweat.
The preview night? Oh, you could smell it before it happens.
Yeah.
That's preview night still? Kind of?
Yeah, kind of.
So Thursday, today is the first official day of the con.
Right.
What did you do? How did you celebrate? Number one, happy con, my friend.
Happy con, my friend.
Happy con, everybody. How'd you spend day one?
Let's see. I spent my day on lines. There were some lines. I tried to go to the Wired Cafe, line. I tried to get into Hall H, line. Tried to get into Ballroom 20, line.
Right. And in Hollywood, where we come from, when somebody's like lines, you're like, yes. But here at Comic-Con, they're like lines. You're like,
no. I did my first Hall H panel.
Already?
Yeah, I was a guest.
You were on a panel?
I was on a panel in Hall H, and there were about as many people as there are in here in Hall H.
What was the panel?
It was under the radar genre films that you might not know are coming that are coming.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, so I'm being a bunch of nerd journalists in Hall fucking H.
Yeah, what was that about? Somebody was just like, last year it fucked with Kevin Smith, let's fuck with the journalist. Let's put you in an empty room. If nobody's there, does the panel happen?
Have you ever seen what a lot of seats look like? Look, it's a lot of seats.
It's fucking crazy. You know what 4,000 empty seats looks like? Sadness. But it also looks like a ticket into The Force Awakens, so that happened as well.
Yeah.
So you did the panel. What did you guys talk about?
We talked about a couple of horror movies. Ty West has a movie coming out, Valley of Violence. We talked about this awesome Korean zombie train film. It's like Snowpiercer with zombies called Train to Busan.
Okay.
And then other stuff that I can't remember because they're so under the radar. It just faded.
So that was it for that first panel, then what?
Yeah. And then I had dinner, and then I came here.
Fucking, you had a nothing day, man.
I really did.
It's so comfortable, so
I
easy
want to do
yourself
as little as humanly possible while I'm here.
You achieved it today. Today, my day was wake up, go to the IMDb yacht. I'm working for IMDb while I'm here, and interviewing people on the IMDb yacht. Which, if that's work, you ain't fucking working. And it's pretty cool setup, but it's bright as shit out there. I thought I was gonna be sweating balls because I sweat when I fucking breathe. But really, it's just you're outside, so it's a lot of this. So in the beginning, it's all shot, and they put it up on IMDb and stuff. I felt bad because I'm like, I'm gonna look like a douche, but like, unless I'm doing this the whole show, can I just wear my glasses? And they're like, yeah, go ahead, we're outside and stuff. So in the beginning of each video that I shoot, I'm like, look, I'm not trying to be a douche. I never wear sunglasses, but it's actually bright here. And everyone I sat down with, they weren't wearing sunglasses. So I do look like a fucking douche. But who did I see? I sat down with the cast of The Man in the High Castle. And then I sat down with some of the cast of Preacher. And that dude who plays Cassidy, Joseph, funny, man.
Yeah.
That dude's legit funny in real life and stuff. Then what did I do? I talked to the cast of Snowden. I talked to the cast of Trolls.
Did they explain why Snowden was at Comic-Con?
I mean, nearest I could figure, because I spoke to Joe Gordon-Levitt, Shailene Woodley, and Zachary Quinto.
That's why it's there.
There you go. There's like three. If there was a fucking Mount Rushmore of current Comic-Con, those three faces would probably be on it. Her for those Ant movies, Allegiant Ant, Defy Ant, all the Ant movies. Zachary for not just Star Trek, obviously, but like he goes back to Heroes, man. That was Siler and shit like that. And then fucking the other kid, he grew up to be Robin/Batman in the movie series that ended before Batman became shitty and mean to everybody. So he's geek royalty as well, man. So like, I guess that, you know, that, and plus Oliver Stone, no slouch, you know.
Yeah, no. He wrote a Conan movie. The first Conan the Barbarian
Fucking
movie.
A, there you go. You just legitimize him. You should have been in Hall H and be like, this motherfucker wrote Conan. And everyone would have been like, oh.
He's best in life. That motherfucker is best in life.
Yes, that's right. He wrote that speech.
Yeah.
Do you think he feels that way? Well, like, what is best in life? Like, do you think he loves to hear the lamentation of the women in real life?
Yeah.
Who else I speak to? The Snowden folks. I spoke to them. The cast of Trolls, which in this case was Justin Timberlake and Anna Kendrick. Two people who can't fucking sing. No, two songsters sitting there right on stage with me and stuff. And he told a wonderful story about the Dick in the Box origin. Ooh. Which on IMDb we called the D and the B, which in many ways sounded dirtier than Dick in the Box. So I was happy. But yeah, we talked to like a lot of famous cats, but I'll tell you the one that like fucking blew me away. There's a couple, man. Luc Besson, I spoke to him, and I'm a huge fucking fan of all things Luc Besson, but also just like, not just the creative Luc Besson, but Luc Besson did something where he took a few years off. He stopped directing, but he didn't stop filmmaking. He was producing other people's movies. So even though he wasn't storytelling himself, he was enabling other storytellers. So, you know, I never met the guy and stuff, but I love his work my whole life. So I'm sitting there getting an interview, and I'm like, you dropped out for a little bit, but you didn't stop. You were producing other people's movies and stuff. And he goes, in France, there is a saying that goes something like,
surrender, we give up.
this is why you were not doing the IMDb interviews. D and the B right there. He said the expression is, if you don't have something to say, shut the fuck up. Which I was like, my father must have been French, because he told me that a lot. But and he said it in French, the original French as well. And the thing was, he's like, I didn't have anything to say, so I just stepped back. He goes, it's nice to be able to recharge the batteries, rejuvenate. You know, and I was like, that was one of the only fucking directors I ever met in my life who echoed the same thing. I stepped away at one point for 3 years. I wasn't smart like him and producing other people's great movies. I just made podcasts. But he kept fucking working and stuff. And then when he had a story to tell, he's like, I'm ready to come back. And the story he wants to tell is adorable, man. We're not the only country that fucking loves comic books and makes our own comic books and stuff. France, Belgium, they have massive comic book culture over there. There's a book, old book from the late 60s called Valerian and the somebody help me out. Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets.
Ooh, nice job.
Right? Like, fuck, can't believe stoned I remembered that. B, what a great title. It's such a great title. So he read this when he was a kid, 10 years old, and he loved this fucking comic book and stuff. So much so that it's influenced most of his art. When he made The Fifth Element, he pulled the guy that created that comic in to, like, hey, man, like, help me design stuff. But still, like, when he was a kid, he wanted to make that as a movie. But he didn't. He wound up making a bunch of fantastic stuff, but that wasn't one of those flicks. So at one point, he'd been pursuing it even after The Fifth Element. He's like, I got to do this because it's in his head and heart and stuff. And he's got a script and project. He's ready to go. And then he sees Avatar. And that's he's in there. First time I see Jim Cameron's Avatar, I take my script, I throw it in the garbage. And I was like, so that's how you make good movies. I take my script out of the garbage, and we get tossed, shit like that. But he threw everything away, did all the work, and just started from scratch because he's like, that's possible now? My imagination has been limited. And then, boom, he blew it out. So he went and made the flick. It comes out, I guess, next year. It's got Dane DeHaan and Cara Delevingne, the girl who's also the Enchantress as well. So it looks like it's going to be badass, man. We'll talk about a passion project. But, man, it smells expensive. Like when he was talking about it, he's like, it's a space cop movie, but it's like the mission they go on is in like the design.
1,000 planets?
Oh, it's in the title. They don't bury the lead. So it visually fucking stunning and whatnot. So he was great to talk to, but the one that fucking like, I was like, So Alien's 30th anniversary is happening, and they're having a big panel here at the con to celebrate one of the greatest sci-fi movies ever made, but also just one of the greatest films ever made. Aliens is almost perfect fucking cinema. It's crazy because you don't expect it because you're like, well, it's a sequel to Alien. How good can it be? And it's fucking better. Don't tell Ridley Scott I said that. But they're celebrating a 30th anniversary. Jim Cameron's here. The whole cast is here. And when I say the whole cast, that includes Carrie Henn, who played Little Newt. That for me was like, I'm going to that. Like, I'm going to Comic-Con this year just to see Newt, because as many times as I've watched that movie, whether it was like when I was a kid in the theaters, because I saw it like when I was 16, the summer it came out, summer '86, all the way up until like last time I watched it, I always go like, hey, where'd Newt go? Like, you know, what after that did she do? There had to be something else. And you try to fall down a Newt hole on the internet and there is none. It's just like, she just stopped. And I got to talk to her today. I was like beside myself and fangirling. My nipples were so hard. Because I usually only come at night. Usually, when I'm coming. That was fucking awesome. Because I talked to her about that. You know, I was just like, that accent, man. I always thought you were from Philadelphia because you're like, nobody calls me Newt except my brother. And they mostly come at night, mostly. That sounds very fucking Philly and shit. And she's not from Philly. She's from, I guess, the West Coast, but she was raised in Germany. She was a kid who went as an Army brat, raised on a Air Force or serviceman's base in Germany. They're not Germany. I'm sorry, England. They're making Aliens in England. Jim Cameron sees kids from all over the world and stuff from casting agency. Can't find a kid he likes. They literally go into a fucking school down the street from where they're about to shoot the movie and line up like girls in the age. And then he looks at everybody and he's just like, I think she's got the look. And he talked to her and he was like, let's see if her family will let her do it. And her family's like, oh my God, go ahead. So she went on this adventure, like almost like, what was that story of Lana Turner was pulled from Schwab's soda counter? This kid was at lunch. And the story's even weirder because she's like, I had to go to the cafeteria to buy lunch that day. That's the only reason I was in the cafeteria, because normally my mom gave me a brown bag and I wouldn't have even been there had it not been for the fact that I had to buy lunch that day and stuff. So changed her life. She went to lunch and all of a sudden she winds up in this movie. She'd never acted before. I was like, what was it like? She said he walked, you know, she's like, it's Jim Cameron. He walked me through everything. He was like, he was really kind. He was very upfront. She was 9. And he was like, look, I've never worked with kids before, but like, if you listen, I think we can get through this. And she was like, he walked me through everything. The cast was wonderful and stuff. Everybody loved her to death and shit. At the end of the movie, which is shot in England, she heads back to the States. Her dad, I guess, is sent back to the United States to a base, and she moves back to the West Coast. And so her parents are like, you know, movie comes out, blows up and stuff. Her parents are like, what do you want to do? Do you want to keep doing this? And she was like, I was a little girl and I just moved to some new place and I just wanted to make friends and be normal. So I was like, I love that. That was fun. But no, I just want to go be normal. And she literally chose a normal life. And she went and got married and had kids. And she's a fucking teacher of, wait for it, 9-year-olds. How adorable is that? She closed the fucking loop, man. I spoke to many famous people today, many talented people, but I was just like, I was like, seriously, man, I've been watching movies my whole life. That is a preternaturally, insanely good child performance and stuff. And, you know, of course, the question is, do you ever miss it or you walked away? And she was like, another way to look at it is like, it was never going to get better than that. And I was like, fuck, I should have stopped at Clerks, man. Like, this kid's got a point. But that was like, that fucking made my morning, man. Sitting there talking to Newt, like, oh, that was fantastic. And finding out that Newt had a much better life than the one I plotted for her as a fan in the audience, going, she should be in a lot of movies. She was like, fuck that, I'm gonna live a real life, and had a much better time at it and stuff. Really fucking cool to figure that out. What else did I see? I was on the boat, man. At one point, I was outside, I came inside, and John Bradley's there. And for those who don't necessarily know the names of the cast of Game of Thrones, that's Samwell Tarly. So I literally fucking stopped, gobsmacked, my jaw hit the ground, and I was like, oh, fuck, you're a genius. And ran over and started blowing him up, gave him a hug and shit. And I just watched a movie he was in, like last week. I was clicking around on iTunes with the wife, and in the, not new releases, but like interesting and fucked up section, there was a movie called Traitors, and I saw his face. I was like, that's fucking Sam from Game of Thrones. So I went and watched the trailer, and it looked kind of badass. It's a movie about like dudes who used to trade, and then their firm fucking shuts down, and so they're all broke, and most of them go back to living with parents and stuff like that. And one of them comes up with the idea of this game where it's like, you're already on Skid Row. You fucking can't live the way you used to. What's the point of living? So you liquidate all your assets. You put it into a fucking package. You hook up with a fellow trader who's also in the same position as you. They do the same thing. You both meet at a place. You dig up holes. You bury the money. And then you try to kill each other. Whoever lives walks away with all the money and stuff.
That's cheery.
Fucking, doesn't it sound like fucking like Wall Street meets like Fight Club?
Yeah.
With a little soupçon of shallow grave on top of it. It was a really fun watch, man. And so I just seen that and it was fresh in my head. I was like, motherfucker, I just seen you in this fucking movie. He's like, you saw that? And we talked about that. But it was crazy because I had to tell him, I was like, my wife, she don't watch Game of Thrones. She's not very familiar with your work, but she loved you in that movie. And the thing she kept saying when we watched that movie is like, this boy looks like you. And so we took a selfie together, and we do kind of look like the Bear twins, you know? But he was a fucking sweet dude, man. So I saw a lot of, like, cool people already day one. It was kind of sweet.
You know what I met today? And it did a number on my ego. I met Luke Cage today, Mike Coulter.
Yes.
Yeah, like, listen, do not be in a room with that motherfucker and pretend like you can ever talk to any girl again. It's like,
that's swank, that's suave.
That fucking dude, he's like hewn from the best, finest Belgian chocolate. He walks in and he's tall. Is he tall? He's tall.
I was watching that show and I couldn't really tell. I thought he looked like average height, but he's tall. Huh?
I was like, you're not fair. You're just not fair.
I know. They gave you height too? Let's see the dick. And he's like, God damn it.
That's just the tip.
Beautiful man.
Beautiful fucking man. Yesterday I went to the Star Trek premiere on the Embarcadero, and Idris Elba's there.
For those that don't know at home, explain the Star Trek premiere.
So
they fucking pulled out all the stuff.
They pulled out all the stuff. They decided for the U.S. premiere they would do it outdoors at the Embarcadero with a live orchestra, which is a thing I'd never seen before. Apparently they haven't done since like Abbott and Costello, a live orchestra at a premiere.
Really?
Anywhere in the modern era they haven't done that.
Like because they do that in Los Angeles, like the Hollywood Bowl. They'll have like watch the fucking Little Mermaid while an orchestra plays it and shit.
Yeah.
So this doing it at the premiere, that's not. I guess you're right. I never really.
That happens. Wow. So they had a live orchestra. They had the entire cast there, and everybody's in their finest suits and whatever. And Idris Elba shows up, basically in a t-shirt and shorts. And he's like, "Fuck it, I'm Idris Elba. Like, what is your problem with me? All of you want this right now. I am the Dark Tower, bitches."
That's true. Oh my God, he may very well be the king of Comic-Con right now. He's got his foot in Star Trek. He's got his foot in Stephen King. That sounds filthier than I meant it, but you know, fucking. And he's always got Luther. Alice. What was the premiere like? Fun time, or would you rather, like, be honest, like, and this is not about the condition of the movie or whether you like it or not. I hear the movie's good, and we talked about it a little bit, you like it. But just in terms of watching a movie, would you rather watch it in a real fucking movie theater, like, not with real people, but just like in the normal setting, or watch it like in the circus, like when you go to a premiere like this? And this was triple the circus because they were like, laser show.
Lasers and fireworks!
Yeah. There was fireworks?
There was fireworks.
Fuck. I could have left without the lasers. People are like, there were lasers. Like, go fuck your lasers. But fireworks, I'm like, I like things that explode.
Everything's fucking on fire in the sky. I would rather see in a theater with like air conditioning and not this fucking close to everybody. And, but it was still an experience. Like I'd never done that before, and it was just fun. Like, and here, there's Nichelle Nichols. Look, it's Nichelle Nichols.
She was there as well.
Yeah.
Is she in the movie, or she was
she was just there, like the queen of Comic-Con.
Right. Oh my Lord. The idea of being outside watching it with an audience, does it even sweeten the experience? Like, do the jokes play even funnier than you think they would?
And like that's a sweet fucking audience.
Right.
Like,
you know what I'm saying? Like everybody loves it.
Yeah. If you're there for that, if you waited online forever, then you want to be there and you want to love it. And
what
it's good.
Experience,
like
man.
It's a good movie.
Talk about the flick a little bit. Justin Lin.
Justin Lin, so it's very Fast and Furious-y. There's like motorcycles and chases and shit.
Really?
But it is...
I thought you meant it's homoerotic as fuck. Well, one of these guys wants to fuck the other.
Well, I mean, Sulu's gay now, so...
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, but it's not like...
And how is that scene? That was the lot. We heard about that 2 weeks before release, running up to it, like, oh, I mean,
it's not just like fucking dicks in space. Like, that's not what's happening.
Well, then I'm fucking skipping that, man. Because I was warping it there if I was like, oh, there's cocksucking in this movie? Finally. The trouble with trickle.
I was gonna do Space Seed, but I was just gonna leave that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's all yours. But it's super. It's like just incidental. Like you just see Sulu and you see his daughter, and then you see his husband, and they hug, and then they go off, and then there's threatening and spacing and lasering and all of that shit.
Right.
But it is like a really good episode during a really good season of Star Trek. And if that floats your boat, if that's what you've wanted, like we're in space, we're not in Earth anymore. There's aliens and lasers and shit. Then this is the movie.
For which version of Star Trek? A really good episode.
Classic, yeah. Like
Really?
yeah.
So it does feel like classic on that level.
Yeah, totally.
Who else did you see? The whole cast there?
The whole cast was there.
I do a show that's coming on this weekend called Geeking Out. It's on AMC after Preacher, I believe, we debut. And Greg Grunberg is the host of the show. I'm his co-host. He's in the Trek movie, and he brought our cameras to the premiere and like ran around and pulled people out of interviews. Like I talked to the people that produce Geeking Out, and they're like, it was amazing, dude. Simon Pegg was like interviewing with other people. Greg turned him around and he was like, it's fucking Simon Pegg, and then turned him back around and like went away. So it sounded like every star in the firmament of Trek was there.
They really were. I mean, there's a lot of wattage. A lot of wattage last night.
And that was cool. Their big premiere. They're not doing like a Los Angeles.
And that's it. Now they're done. That's it. It's over.
Right on. All right, well, let's dive into the news. And there must be stuff that's actually coming out of Comic-Con today, I'm sure, but I haven't been paying much attention. I've been interviewing people. And stuff.
The big thing that came out today was a trailer for The Defenders.
Footage?
Sort of, kind of. Like, it's a bunch of title treatments and voiceover.
Oh, so lies.
Lies. Yes.
That's cool. Oh, believe me, I'll watch a fucking trailer like it's coming. Wait, so that means there's a title treatment of The Defenders.
Right.
Does it look badass?
It looks pretty badass.
Really?
Yeah.
Honestly, that is enough of a trailer for me. If they're just, you ready, fucker? Yeah. Title treatment. I'm like, good enough. My standards are low.
Like there's the Alias Investigations logo and the Daredevil pullback and the street graffiti of the Iron Fist symbol, and it's pretty badass. And then Stick's voiceover in the background is like, you think you four can save the world? You can't even save yourself. So then Defenders, boom, 2017.
So that's a new line of dialogue, right?
Yeah.
It would have to be.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. And they also said that Daredevil Season 3 has been renewed.
Right, that's coming back.
I'm going to start harassing people for a job on that show. Like, please, dude, let me come and direct on that show. That'd be amazing. I wrote Daredevil at one point, so to be able to, even if I'm on set, just fucking watching, that'd be badass and stuff. But I keep encouraging Joe Quesada, who was my director in the comics when I wrote Daredevil. He was the artist behind it. He's a big muckety-muck at Marvel and stuff. He graduated from a guy that could draw to a guy that can run a company and stuff. But I always tell him, like, dude, you should fucking direct an episode of Daredevil, man. Like, you did direct, like a penciler on a comic book, very much like the director is the eyes of what the writer comes up with. Like, people that like my Daredevil run, all the credit belongs to Joe Quesada. He made it very cinematic, much more cinematic, ironically enough, than a guy who came from cinema made it in his script, because my script was like panel 1, Daredevil rocks. And he's like, I guess I can express that, He's also metal. So he's qualified. He should direct an episode too. I'm glad to hear it got renewed. I think it was a no-brainer. It seems like they don't give out their ratings, but it seems like everybody fucking watches that show.
Oh, totally.
It's particularly, well, at least in San Diego, most people who trip across probably way into the Netflix stuff. Did they happen to say when Iron Fist was going to be in? Luke Cage is very soon, right? It's November, I think?
September
So
20.
it's the fall. So when does Iron Fist happen? Because once Iron Fist happens, then the Defenders can happen.
I think they start shooting next month.
For Iron Fist?
Yeah.
So that means we're like a year away from the Defenders.
Yeah, 2017. Probably winter 2017.
All right. That's a reason to stay alive until then. I mean, I've got a wife and a kid, but fuck, that's...
If I needed more.
Yeah, just gild that lily.
Yeah.
All right, so that's that. They announced that today.
They announced that today.
What news we want to talk about on said show?
I can talk about a couple rumors.
Fuck yeah.
I have rumors.
Okay.
The rumor is that for the Warner Brothers panel,
yes,
they are bringing the entire Justice League
from overseas.
From London. Yes, they're flying them all in for the panel and then flying them back to London.
Now, is it going to be, number one, ba-ding. Number two, is it going to be like when they brought out Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman. Like, remember that one year? It wasn't last year.
Yeah, 2 years ago, where they just like waved and then got back on a plane.
Yes, they literally came out to the Queen's wave and then off they went and stuff. Whereas when you go to the Marvel panel, they're all talking, man. It's like going to Disneyland. All those robots fucking talk, man. But at the DC panel, it's more like Chuck E. Cheese, where they're like, I think they're talking. Why do you think they don't let him? Like, Affleck is fucking hysterical, man. I would give that guy the mic and be like, he'd sell that fucking room in a heartbeat.
I think they're afraid. I think they're afraid of letting people have the chance to ask them questions. Like, why was that movie so bad?
Yeah, I guess you're right. That's true. Oh my
That's all you
God.
get. It's like Hall H. It's like, tell me why the movie sucked, Ben.
And you get like a 20-minute eloquent response, like, thank you very much. Next question. Tell us why the movie sucks, Zach. Here we go again.
The sound of silence just rising behind me.
So if they bring all of Justice League, that means nobody's working. Let's go steal their shit.
You guys, I got a Batmobile.
Who would that be? So I assumed they might bring in Affleck because Suicide Squad, from what I understand, has some. Have you seen it or not?
I can neither confirm nor deny having seen Suicide Squad.
All right, so Mark hasn't seen it.
But I haven't seen it at all.
Good. There it is.
At all.
That all being said, I've heard from friends of mine, one in particular, that there's a spoilers if you don't want to know. This don't spoil the ending, and if you've seen the trailer, you pretty much figure this out. But not perhaps as much liberal use of Batman in this movie.
Yes.
But you've heard that as well.
I've heard that as well. Reports from the community tell me.
There you go. Well covered.
I got a spy on the inside?
Yeah. I heard at least 3 fucking like good Batman moments. I've also heard the opening introductory passage of the movie is spellbinding.
Probably a good word, I guess. Of the words you could choose, that might be an apt one.
And I've heard a lot of things. I guess we can't go much deeper. We're going to play this game. But we brought it up in the
Warner Brothers, what was that? You can't ever come see anything again? I don't know what you're talking about.
Mark, for those that don't follow along at home, is the editor over at the LA Times calendar section film department.
Film section, yes.
Covers the film section and whatnot. So he hasn't seen it yet, but he looks forward to seeing it.
Very much so. Highly anticipated by me.
We can see it together. But anyway, we brought it up because of the DC panel. So I assumed that would be the surprise, like Affleck, Batman. Right. But if they're bringing the rest, that means Henry, Gal, and also, what's his name? Flash Kid. Ezra. Jason Momoa. Oh, fuck, man. Jason Momoa. I saw Jason Momoa in real life on a plane. Number 1, he's a giant. Number 2, he's a gentle giant. Number 3, he's a gentle giant whose cock I'd suck like that. He is a gorgeous fucking man, but on top of that, a nice guy. That's where the dick sucking comes from. He's a nice guy. But add to that, he's Aquaman, and he was fucking Khal Drogo, but add to that, he was a hockey player. I met him on a plane once, and we were chit-chatting. And
they have Hawaiian hockey players?
Isn't that fucking crazy? Well, he lived... he's a man of 2 worlds. Hawaiian, but also Idaho, Iowa, one of the I states, is where he grew up, and he played a lot of stick. And he, at one point, injured something. Something took him out the game. And then it led to eventually, fucking acting, and boom, he's who he is. And so naively, I'm a big hockey fan and stuff. And I dress like him and shit. But whenever you hear hockey stories of this one fucking couldn't play anymore, it's heartbreaking. It's like that's what they live to do, and if you can't play, what the fuck is the point of living and stuff like that? So I was just like, so let me ask you this, dude. If you don't break your leg, you may wind up playing NHL, which is what you wanted to do as a kid. So now you've seen what the alternative is, like this movie thing. Do you ever wish that you didn't break your leg and then you wound up in the NHL? He goes, fuck no, this is awesome. He was fucking tremendous. And he was on his way, I think, to get suited up for the first time or something like that.
It's like Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell was supposed to be a baseball player. And in college, he busted his knee and then couldn't run anymore. So if you ever watch a Kurt Russell action movie, there's always a scene in which he gets fucked up in his like left knee, and so he's got to limp for the rest of the movie because he just can't run.
That's called that. So we call that a Kurt Russell.
It's a Kurt Russell.
We did that on Red State. John Goodman's knee. He was right before he did surgery, and it was really bad. And he's like, "I'm going in. I'm getting them done." So I'm on my last legs with this, literally. So he's like, "I can't do any of the running that the script called for." I said, "Don't worry about it, man. Like, first thing that happens is like there's a hail of gunfire, open fire and stuff. We'll just say that you got pegged and stuff." And so that's how we instantly kind of let him hobble, because he too couldn't fucking run. I guess it's a thing, but I didn't know. I would have just simply said to him, "We're doing a Kurt Russell," and walked away.
Have to fuck Goldie Hawn? All right. Sure.
John Goodman's like, "This is the greatest job ever." All right, so that's one rumor. So they'll bring in the entire, and who's playing Cyborg? I'm unfamiliar with that cat's name.
I am as well.
Anybody? Who?
Joe Morton.
No, that's Cyborg's dad.
Ray Fisher.
That's it.
There it is.
So he'll be there.
He'll
as
be
well.
there too.
Do you think Lex Luthor comes? Do you think?
Yeah, I guess.
So enthusiastic. All right, so that's one rumor. What else you got?
The other
and I
rumor-
believe that rumor. In a scale of 1 to 10, I give that. And I mean, by the time they hear the show, everyone will have known. But I give that probably 7. Pretty high credence on that.
And then the other rumor, which is less a rumor and just more a little bit of analysis. I met Peyton Reed at a party on Wednesday night. Director of
Lovely
Ant-Man.
dude.
Lovely
man.
fucking guy.
Lovely guy.
Who was going back to LA yesterday and then coming back for the Marvel panel on Saturday.
They're going to show Ant-Man
They're going to
footage.
show some
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Like, that is the other thing.
All right, so as if I wasn't dying to be at that panel already. Now it's just because they told us we're going to see some Doctor Strange probably going to see some Guardians of the Galaxy. But if they're like, "Oh yeah, here's some Ant-Man and the Wasp footage,"
Here's a trailer for Ant-Man and the Wasp would be.
whose cock do I got to suck to get in that room, Mark? Because I want to watch all that footage.
His name is Joe Quesada.
That's it, right? I know the guy. Fuck. I can look forward to that. Those are the two panels that I'm really kind of want to linger in the back for. The Aliens panel I want to be in the front for and stuff. What else you got? What's after that?
After that, there was some out of
That's
Celebration.
some pretty hot Comic-Con news, man. Inside dope and shit.
I'm bringing it to the people
You really are.
because I loves the people.
Don't pander to them.
Why not?
No, it's a good point. Pander away. All right, what do you got?
Celebration was last week. Star Wars Celebration.
Star Wars Celebration, they had it over in England this time. And I remember looking at that and being like, that's fucked up. And then going why not? Of course they've got fans there as well. Why make everyone go to fucking America over and over again? It's a cool idea that they do it over there.
Especially now.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Why come here?
Meanwhile, they're going, dude, we're Brexiting. Fuck this. So over there, they've showed
They showed a behind
more footage?
Yeah, they dropped a behind the scenes for Rogue One sort of real thing, and then they ran the new trailer for Rogue
which
One.
nobody else has seen, just in that room.
Yeah, except for the internet because it leaked.
It leaked?
Yeah.
So it's out? I could watch that?
If you could find it, I'm sure they're yanking it as fast as they're popping it, but
No, they ain't yanking as fast as I am, my friend. If I see Darth Vader in a trailer, I'll be yanking it real hard. That's what it is. The trailer ends with Vader?
yeah.
And do you see features or just him backshadowed
You
like
see,
Trump when he was introduced at his...
You see reflections on a shiny floor, and you just see the Vader outline, and you hear the breathing.
Oh, shit.
Oh shit!
I mean, that's what's the director's name?
Gareth Edwards.
Edwards. In terms of, JJ had the dream job, right? Of oh my God, you get to reboot the Star Wars universe. You get to bring in your favorite characters and stuff like that. The Millennium Falcon comes back. But the closest he got to Vader was, here's the burnt fucking mask. But this dude, he gets fucking
Vader. He gets old school stormtroopers.
And he gets Vader voice too. It's James Earl Jones doing it.
Jimmy Jones, yeah. Jimmy Jones. That's what I call him.
Is that what the kids call him these days?
Jimmy!
It can't be David Prowse in the body anymore. David
can't
Prowse was the guy that played him when I was a kid, and he was an adult then. I'm an adult now. I don't know if they want to bring that guy on board, but I'm sure he might be there for moral support and whatnot.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure he's just like, good luck.
They should make him like an old Imperial general that fucking Vader snaps his neck or some such shit.
I think there is somewhere online you can see the original footage before they dubbed in James Earl Jones's voice.
And you hear his.
And like, hello, my name is Vader.
I want them alive.
If this is a console ship, we're all the ambassadors.
That's a good pull, man.
Nobody wants that.
What else did they show besides that? It was all Rogue One oriented?
Yeah.
They didn't talk about Episode 8. Episode 8 just wrapped. I knew that much.
Yeah, they didn't. From what I can gather,
Right.
there was nothing. They might have shown more stills from the theme parks because rides. But
I'm ready for that as well. Oh my God, fucking give me a goddamn Star Wars ride. Like they got one in Disney. It's fucking awesome. I've been on it a zillion times. But they've shown drawings of a Star Wars land where you can like walk on the Millennium Falcon and shit like that. I want to go to Hoth World and climb inside a Tauntaun. And these are the things I dreamed about when I was a kid. They're actually coming true.
Wouldn't that be the great hotel? Like, check into your Tauntaun, sir.
Yes. They open the door. He's just like. Okay, so wait, did they anything else? It was just all pretty much Rogue One.
It was all Rogue One.
When does this come out? Christmas.
November.
So this fall.
Yeah.
Now there have been like reports of like they're fucking in trouble. I saw that trailer. There looks like there's no trouble there. Honestly, there doesn't even have to be a story. Just show me a bunch of fucking like disconnected images. That's like Star Wars porn. Like in that one behind the fucking scenes reel, they showed 3 stormtroopers up to their waist in the water, and I'm like, I used to do that with my figures in the toilet. It's all coming true. Sarlacc pit. Yes. It was just so dope seeing that happen, man. He gets to play with them in a fucking different way. And then, of course, like seeing the AT-ATs, like just anywhere other than Hoth, you're like, yeah, they would have used them everywhere. It wasn't just for the fucking snow. So shit like that, I don't even care if there's no story. Just give me like Star Wars remix porn with like images that I'm like, oh my God, that reminds me of that. Oh my God, that reminds me of that. I'm not saying like show me fucking, Chewie, Blue, and Jar Jar. No, I'm just saying fucking like what he's done so far.
I'm trying to process
Through
this.
your head. You're
How
like,
much
no,
of this
show me that.
Would be cool, but then Jar Jar fucks it up. But
That's where Jar Jar redeems himself. Misa, finish hard. But I can't. There's no way that movie could fuck up on my behalf. Like, this is just a good idea. Even if right out the box it's not as good as Force Awakens or whatever the fuck, don't matter. Crank out fucking more Star Wars movies. Some people are like, they're fucking taking away our childhood. Bullshit, man. Just like Marvel Comics, just like we love those characters and we all had this many movies for them. I would love to see the universe expand. They've been doing it in fucking books forever, man. The fan fiction has always existed. Extended universes, they call it. Now they disavow a lot of it and stuff, but some of it they let back in. I think it's cool that they're making movies that are like just Star Wars influenced or taking place around the outside. It's a dope idea.
yeah, just give me more of what I love, and I'll take it. Like, I love pizza. More pizza? Yes, please.
Yeah.
Star Wars? Yeah, more Star Wars. Fuck, why not?
I would take your philosophy class. More pizza, please, with Marc Bernardin.
Pizza 101. Just more of it.
What else we got after Celebration?
Star Trek 4 was announced.
Yeah, that's huge news.
That's huge. And Chris Hemsworth is returning as George Kirk.
That's the fucking cool news, man.
Yes.
They said Star Trek 4. I'm like, all right, they're doing well. Good for you. Quit bragging. But the moment they were like, and fucking Thor's coming back, I was like, holy shit, because that's the first time I saw that dude. That's where he popped on my radar. I was like, this guy's fucking good. Oh, he's dead. So, spoilers. So now, if they're bringing him back, that means we're in for some time travel.
Yeah.
So do you think he's good or bad? Like, will Kirk have to fight Kirk? Like,
I
want credit for that, JJ, if that happens.
God, I hope so now.
I know, right?
But yeah, time travel. Has to be.
Has to be. It's a good idea. That's
Yeah,
cool
I'll take
pull.
it. Fuck
And
it.
plus, like, that dude's super famous, so it's good for them, like, star-wise. Like, fucking Thor's in this. But even if he wasn't famous, that's a fucking cool storyline, man. Like,
Yeah.
he's going to meet his dad, and that's all we know right now. But for all we know, he meets his dad in fucking combat and shit. Maybe he don't know that it's his kid. Maybe he doesn't. He don't give a fuck. He was like, I said no.
I mean, he did die while fighting a temporally enabled Romulan ship, so now time travel is just on the table.
Fucking yes, bitch. You're right. But somebody got to it before you, man, because they just fucking figured it out. But you're so smart. You're right, man. Fuck. What else could they do? Time-wise. Oh my God, they can go back to every movie. I hope they fucking spend the next 4 movies revisiting the last 4 movies.
Slingshot maneuver. All right, let's go.
Like they go back and they just watch Star Trek because like, this is amazing. This needs no help. And then they go to the next one, they're like, we should refix some of these things.
Stardate 2243. I left my keys in Stardate 2291. I had to fix this.
I look forward to that. That sounds like a good idea for a movie. Like, fuck you, take my money on that one. That's a good idea. All right, so what else after Star Trek?
Let's see. There's a comic book that I love called Deadly Class that Image puts out, written by Rick Remender, that the Russo brothers are adapting for television.
Oh my God, man!
Yes,
that's pretty. I mean, that sounds like it's going to happen. Then you got 2 very talented guys who came from fucking TV, went and mastered movies such as Civil War, and now walk back into TV going. And people are like, tell us the stories you want to tell. Yeah. And they're like, we like comics. And they let them do whatever they want. How awesome for them.
And Deadly Class is about an elite academy for assassins. So it's like Breakfast Club meets Grosse Point Blank.
I like it. You sold me. Holy shit. If I was a studio head, I'm like,
here you go. Thank you. I'm just going to start doing that now. Just like saying random words and going into studios like, check please. I said a thing you might like.
What else we got news-wise?
Let's see. A couple things we didn't talk about before. Flash. We got the first look at Kid Flash.
Yes. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to show pictures, but I'm sure everybody in this
theater
room
of the mind,
has already seen the Kid Flash suit. And I thought it looked fucking dope, man. I saw a lot of people agreed. I saw 1 or 2 people like, that ain't fucking cool. I said, are you nuts? Like, that's the closest thing to a Kid Flash uniform in real life we've ever seen presented, other than a cartoon, that Teen Titans cartoons when we were kids. That's Young Justice and the Young Justice cartoon. Thank you. My bad. Sorry. Millennials. But correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think they've ever done that suit in the real world. Maybe on Amigo doll, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So we get to finally see it. And I thought it looked fucking cool. It sounds like they're into Flashpoint.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and it sounds like it might go all season long, I hope.
And I think it's going to dip across all of them.
For sure?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
They're going like hard on their superhero universe, and that's kind of badass. We've never seen that before.
Bless you. No, what that smells like too is kind of like, well, I mean, we've seen a version of it in as much as the Defenders trailer. Like they went hard on their universe too, TV universe, but what it means though is everything, they could fuck with the timeline on every show this year. It's all a pass because it sounds like they're building toward a crisis.
A crisis, you say?
A crisis. They got a few Earths. I don't know if they're infinite, but they got some fucking Earths to sort out. So it sounds like they could be doing that. That would be kind of unprecedented on a network television show that they're like, look, across these 4 nights of programming, we're going to create an epic mini-series event and shit. It moved thinking about it.
What else?
I go back to Flash first week in September to direct an episode.
Yeah.
Episode 7 I get to do. Speaking of fucking television, whenever I think of Flash, I think of everything that Flash gave me. Flash opened up all sorts of fucking doors, man. Not just a hero in the comics, hero of my career in many ways. Because I did that Flash gig, suddenly people were like, come in, talk about TV and stuff like that. One of those meetings was with MGM Television, people that make the Fargo TV series. And they were like, we listened to a podcast where you talked about loving Buckaroo Banzai. And you spoke to Peter Weller and John Lithgow at great lengths. I was like a massive fan of that movie, man. I had the poster on my wall when I was a kid. And when other kids were like, what the fuck is that? I was like, this is my religion. So I said, I've long loved it. And they were like, and we've seen Tusk, so we know you're into weirdness. So we were thinking like, we want to do what we did with Fargo. We want to take a movie title and turn it into a series. We love this title, and we think it's got like possibilities. Are you interested? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And having just come from TV world, that fucking helped a great deal, having done an episode of Flash. We went out and pitched it, and they just, we sold it, and they just announced it today at Deadline. Thank you. The good folks at Amazon Studios picked it up, man. So yeah, we get to. Next up is writing a script, and if they dig the script, you shoot a pilot, and if you do the pilot, then they make everybody judge it online, right? Like they put it up online, and then my fate will be in other people's hands, which in many cases is better than a studio executive's hands, you know. So that'll be kind of sweet. Yeah. So I get to go through that process and potentially bring Buckaroo Banzai to full series. If we go to full series, Mark's going to be one of the writers. Andy McKelfer's going to be one of the writers, guy I do education with. And I'm going to collect directors. I ain't going to be the only director, man, because a lot of people out there, he's going to fuck it up. Don't worry, I'm not the only director. I may fuck up my episodes, but we'll have other people on board. And the people I want to reach out to are people I've met over the years that I know fucking love this movie. Edgar Wright, Richard Kelly, and fucking Quentin Tarantino loves this movie. So he's done some TV.
Yes.
So I just want to be like, dude, come fucking play for an hour. You got 8 days. Here's some money. Go
if
crazy.
If you'll do a CSI, you can fucking come and do a Buckaroo Banzai.
I hope. And I'll put it to him just like that. Yeah. All sassy and shit.
All sassy and rhymey.
I'm like, now do me a favor, fucker. Click. You know. So hopefully that pans out. But that's kind of cool. That came from Flash. And then I've been telling folks lately as well, we just closed our deal with Universal Television. I've been talking about for the last year about trying to do Mallrats 2 as a movie. It's now a series. It's now, hold your woos. It's we turned it into a series instead. So I go out after Comic-Con and me and Universal Television go pitch Mallrats the series. So I had like 90 minutes to tell the story in a sequel movie. Now I've got 10 episodes of a half an hour apiece to tell the same story. So I could really stretch it out and like spend time with the older characters and the newer characters. Like in the movie, it was like, here's everybody, but you didn't get to spend much time with all of them, some more than others. Brody, you spent a fuck ton of time with. But now with the series, I can pull the taffy a little bit and fucking just make it more like the movie. Like the draft of the script I did, very much two fathers to Mallrats, the movies I grew up watching that made Mallrats what it is or what it was. John Hughes and John Landis. So it was a pretty decent balance in that movie. And as much as as real kind of somewhat recognizable people dealing with simple problems, but usually about the heart. And then the Landis aspect of it was when like cops get involved and shit like that. Things get a little antic. His comedy tends to end very big. So the script for Mallrats 2 was much more Landis than Hughes. It was very antic and stuff. The series allows me to kind of shift the balance back in favor of Hughes. In fact, a little more Hughes than anything else. It's kind of like a fucking soap opera where people say cocksucker a lot. So, and it's funny and stuff. So that right after Comic-Con ends, we go out and pitch that, and hopefully we find a home for that as well, man. But that came from Flash, from doing that one episode of The Flash. So I eagerly look back to go do another episode of The Flash. What will happen next, you know? Holy shit.
Brewster's Millions.
I know. They're like, here's a check. Spend it until you die. I love you, Flash. I get to talk to them here, too, at IMDb. They're bringing the whole cast over. And if I'd done this last year, I would have been just interviewing them as a fan, but now like I can interview him as somebody who's been in the trenches with them. Kind of fucking
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a good time to be alive and like this kind of shit. What else you got?
The last thing on the list is Game of Thrones is pushing its release date. It's now summer 2017.
So wait, that's normally it would be March or April or something?
Yeah, normally it would be like next March, like early March.
So now we're officially 1 year away as opposed to only 8 months to go.
And they're only doing 7 episodes for this next season. 7 episodes for each of the next 2 seasons, and those are the last 2 seasons.
So 7 and 7, there's only 14 episodes of Game of Thrones left?
Yeah.
Now, some of those episodes might not be an hour. They might be longer.
They could be massive, sure.
Yeah.
They can do whatever they want. They have all the money in the
what
world.
we didn't tell you is one of these episodes is 22 hours long. Be like, yes, never go away. What the fuck will we do with our lives when it stops, dude?
I know, man.
This is bigger than The Sopranos. I remember when The Sopranos ended, we were all like, what are we going to fucking do? And then The Walking Dead, there were a zillion other things to do. But this one's fucking, this is This has united the world. More so than that fucking We Are the World or that Hands Across America shit. You can fucking make friends with an enemy over Game of Thrones, over love of Game of Thrones.
Red Wedding? I know, right?
Yeah, big time. Well, that's a bummer, but at the same time, it gives us something to look forward to. 1 year away, it begins again?
1 year away. Summer, 2017.
Winter is coming in the summer of next year.
But yeah, man, that's it.
That's all the news that fits.
That's all the news that fits the print.
Let's turn it over to you guys. Open it up to Q&A and start finding out what you guys want to know. Bam, that hand went up. You're the first one. Shout it out.
If you guys could, well, first of all, thank you for the inspiration. Me and my cousin here started a podcast 6 months ago.
What's the podcast called?
The Idol Effect.
The Idol Effect. How many episodes are you up to?
11.
Did you ever think you'd do anything beyond masturbation 11 times in your entire life? Isn't it awesome? Just when you hit double digits, you're like, holy shit, this is legit. This ain't just like we did it and we enjoyed ourselves. Once you build... That's fantastic. Fantastic. Good for you. Anyway, go ahead.
If you guys could play poker with 5 people, living or dead, each one of you, who would they be?
Wow. All right, how about let's back and forth it.
That means it's just a table of...
you and 5 other celebrities or relatives.
You assume I'd play poker with celebrities? All right, so 5 other people.
Yes.
Brady Bunch.
Wow. What the fuck was that?
Went for odds. Sheer numbers, man. Somebody's going to get left off, but they could have alternates. Like Alice could be waiting in the wings if Cindy freezes while playing the game or something like that.
The Jackson 5 then. If we're going to do groups.
But what era Jackson 5? Like Victory Tour or...
Oh, children, because I want their fucking money.
Let's dive in comics. Let's do a comics. Who would you want to play with? Certainly not Batman. He'd fucking win and know everybody's cards and shit like that. Not the Invisible Woman. She'd be cheating.
Bizarro would lose quickly, so I'm on board with that.
There you go.
Liam had bad hand. All right.
I know you could have a royal flush. All right, Bizarro. Here's your mark.
Here's
Pigeon.
my mark. Neither Zatara or Zatanna. They knew too much about cards.
Stick from Daredevil.
Yes.
Can't see. Blind people. Gives us the edge. And one of the turtles, just because it'd be like, you look fucked up in real life. I'm all in. I'm all in. All right, you happy with that? You got a list of your own? You be creative.
Of the dead people or comic book people?
Either or. Both. Fucking mix it up.
All right. Sam Jackson.
Why?
Because he's fucking Sam Jackson.
Yeah. I just didn't know if there was this like, I went to school with him and like but just like idol worship.
Pretty much. Eartha Kitt.
What the fuck? Really?
Yes. No, this you watch. This is going to be the blackest poker table ever. Sam Jackson, Eartha Kitt, Quincy Jones, Paul Robeson.
Wow! Holy fucking shit! Why? Just to hear an awesome voice at the table?
And then like
I'm all in.
And then and then Mufasa. Literally, I want a fucking lion at the.
A lion with a heart.
Lion with a heart. All of this money could be yours.
I wish I was black. All right, where are we going next? Hands in the air. I see one way back there. I'm pointing to you. If you can wave your hand like this from side to side. Yeah, you just stood up, you.
Love you, by the way.
We love you as well.
How do you feel about the Booster Gold movie?
A Booster Gold movie, which is happening.
I'm 100% on board because I know the motherfucker writing it. So yes.
Let's talk about that. Mark knows the guy who's writing it.
Who wrote your episode?
I
of The
believe I
Flash.
know him as well.
Yes.
You were taking credit for it and shit. I know him a little bit as well. He wrote my episode of Flash. I can vouch for him as a writer because that was an excellent episode and it was based solely on that script. Zach Stentz is writing Booster Gold.
Yes.
For
Greg Berlanti, who's producing it.
Who's producing it. But we don't know who's directing it yet.
No. There's a shot that he will direct it because I think he wants to direct.
Who?
Berlanti.
So he might, Greg Berlanti, for everyone in this room probably knows, but just in case you don't listen at home, he's responsible for the DC universe on CW, DCW universe. He's the guy that built it.
He is the white nerd Shonda Rhimes.
Well put. Excellent job.
Because he also does Blind Spot and some other fucking show and all of the CW stuff.
He does more shit than just the comic books.
Yeah.
My God, this guy's fucking prolific.
He really is. And rich as fuck.
Is he?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to go to lunch with him and I'll be like, how much money you got?
Pick a really expensive place.
All right, so he hasn't directed yet? Maybe he's directed episodes
He's
of the show?
done some TV, but I don't think he's done
He hasn't done a feature?
I don't think he has.
And this is certainly not a superhero feature. So there's thoughts that maybe he's like, this is the one that I fucking choose to do.
Yeah.
He's certainly well suited to it. This is a guy who established the writer's room that Flash is written in and whatnot, came from Arrowverse. And the three H's are the foundation of all of the Flash episodes. I don't know about Arrow, but heart, humor, and heroics. They love to make sure that each one of those episodes has it. That comes directly from Greg. So that's a guy that you want involved in Booster Gold. That's what you want. Heart, humor for sure. You don't want this to go down the fucking Zack Snyder route where he's like, I'm from the future where it's full of cancer. Punching fuckers in the face until they're like, we have the same mother's name or something like that.
Your mother's name was Gladys.
What a booster. So it sounds like he'd be the right guy for the pick.
Yeah.
Do you think they bring in Blue Beetle at all? Or that's the sequel.
Ooh.
Right? You got to put a little Ted Cord in there.
A little touch.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, was that the question?
I think that was a
That
question.
was a question. Was that more information than you knew? Were you like, what? There's a fucking movie. You really? You learned something? Right on. It's an educational podcast. We're going right here. You got Bamba. Fuck yeah. Anybody that don't know what this is, man, this shit comes from Israel. This is some of the best shit come from Israel since Israelis. It is, I say Bamba. Is it Bamba? Bamba or Bamba? Whichever, right? You say tomato, I say tomato. It is essentially a 4-ingredient snack. It sounds like a commercial, but I fucking love this shit. It's a 4-ingredient snack. Most times you go for a snack, it's got like 20 ingredients and shit. This has peanuts, that 49% of it are peanuts, corn, palm oil, and salt. So when I was trying to drop weight, like I didn't want to have sugar at all, and I still don't eat sugar. But, you know, every once in a while you feel like a snack. Because the peanuts, it has like something of a sweetness to it, but there's like zero fucking sugar at all in it. Right here, sugar is less than 1 gram or something. So it's a pretty decent snack. It's only like fucking 106 calories. You're not supposed to snack at all. But in a world where it's like, I just want to fuck M&Ms to death, like this will hold you over. It's kind of like if you're a heroin addict, this is kind of like methadone.
Okay.
You know, it'll get you by. So I've been eating this for a long time, and it actually helped me lose weight and stuff. So I'd like to pass it on to people, man. Like 4 ingredients is pretty fucking good. And this is the weird story, like that unconnected but kind of connected. I've been eating this shit for a year just because I was like peanut butter, and I gave it a shot randomly, and I was like, this fucking rocks. Over in Israel, like this is a baby snack. That's why there's a little baby on the package. So you got a teething infant, you give him Bamba to sit there, you know, and gnaw on, because essentially it's like a cheese doodle but without cheese, peanut butter. So that's the consistency, the feel, the crunch and stuff. So because I read in the New York Times, because all the kids eat this from a young age, they fucking inundate them with Bamba and stuff, like shut up, eat your Bamba. Not a single person in Israel has a peanut allergy. Isn't that fucked up?
Huh.
Because from the young age, like, eat your fucking peanuts. I said peanuts. And
Just
because of
weed it out like the kids who were going to die have died from eating all the peanuts.
I guess there's a graveyard full
Filling
of
the gene
kids.
pool, it's fine.
Kids who were like, I like it, and then just dropped it. But apparently that it's knocked out a peanut allergy. I don't know, not very comic booky information and stuff. But
The more you know.
that's true. Useful information nonetheless. But thank you for that. But did you have a question other than just giving us something? That was sweet.
Well, I'm a big fan of Clerks, the animated series.
Clerks the cartoon. I like it as well.
And at the end of the
He's got a copy right there.
commentary, you hinted at Clerks, the animated feature.
Yeah. No plans other than I want to do that one day. The same way it's like, oh, I'd like to fly without help one day. Like jetpack and shit like that. But that's how I work a lot of things in my life. There's things that I'm like, oh, I want to do it, and I'll get to it and stuff, and I try to get around to each one. We pitched it a few times, and some cats are just like, we've seen that. Like I went to Cartoon Network at one point, Adult Swim, and said, we'd love to do this Clerks cartoon. We did it years ago. Like, people love it, and they found it later, and it only aired twice, and we could do it more. We do it way cheaper now and stuff. And they were like, what else you got? And I was like, that was all I came in with. And they were like, well, like, I love that cartoon, but, you know, we've seen it. If you look at Adult Swim, it's shit like Rick and Morty. Like, they're always kind of pushing the edge and stretching. And they even said at one point, it's like, don't you have anything set in space? And I was like, no. Do you know who I am? Like, I'm the mall guy. Like, so I've tried, and, if we get to do Clerks 3 eventually, finally, it feels like that would be the best time to spring that conversation again on some streaming network or so. And it doesn't even have to be like Netflix or something like that. I don't give a shit. If Crackle was like, we'll roll the dice on this. I just want to make it. Like, you get to a certain point in your life where you stop thinking about like, what's it going to do? You just want to see it come to life. That's where like the best art comes from, unless like you're like, I don't like those walrus movies, dude. But at least the best, that's where the best intentions come from, like where you're just like, I just want to see it. It's not motivated by, I got to pay my rent or I got to pay these bills. You're like, I just want to see what it looks like. And then you hope other people agree, but if they don't, at least you get to see what it looks like. So I've been hoping to see what the Clerks cartoon would look like today. Dave Mandel is the genius responsible for that show. Everything you know and like about that show, I credit to Dave Mandel, who just had a killer year as the showrunner on Veep. They got a fuck ton of Emmy nods, and they handed the show off to him from the guy that created
Armando Iannucci,
who's a genius and like.
It's really fun to say.
It's a great name, right?
Armando Iannucci.
Oh, you get your fucking dick stuck with a name like that, man. Yeah. Holy shit. So that dude left. Is a big deal when, showrunner of particularly of his caliber and made that show specifically what it was. When they leave, somebody else coming in, there's a chance that everything goes off the rails. Dave Mandel, who worked on Clerks with me, prior to that, he worked on Seinfeld for many years. After that, he worked on Curb for many years. Prior to that, before Seinfeld, he was on SNL. So he's got like fucking amazing credits. They tapped him to take over, and fucking boom, that show took off. So really, our way in at this point is Dave. He's probably the most successful in the bunch. That HBO rewards their own and stuff. So if I was smart, I'd text him and be like, use your power to fucking get Clerks back on the rails. Because he was everything you know and love about that show, he's responsible for. Like, who is driving? Bear is driving. How can that be? Not only did he come up with the concept, he is the voiceover saying Bear is driving. The episode, the Flintstones list joke where they're like, they watched, since, and it's an obscure joke now, but Schindler's List and Flintstones were produced by Spielberg in the same year. He directed Schindler's List as well, but he had 2 producing gigs, and Mandel, who is Jewish himself, thought it was hysterical to come up with this joke. When he pitched Clerks the cartoon to me, he's like, I want to do a cartoon of your movie. I said, really? He goes, yes, because I think I get to tell jokes like this. And this was his pitch. He goes, they're talking about movies, and they say, hey, let's watch this. It's Spielberg's latest. And they hold up a copy of a movie that says Flintstones List. And so they pop it in, and it's a scene, it looks like the Flintstones cartoon, and it's set at a concentration camp on the outside. Dave's joke, not mine. And so there's a train there, and people are being loaded onto the train, and there are guys who look like Fred Flintstone with like helmets on, look like fucking Nazi guards. And then the train door closes, and all their feet come out, and the train walks away. So I was like, we have to make this cartoon. So Dave's the guy responsible for everything people know and love about the cartoon, and he lives up the hill from me, like literally up the block. I walk my dogs up to his house, where his house is, and then down the hill. It's like 1.5 miles every day. So invariably, I see him going up and down the hill. Prior to Veep, he got very busy doing Veep, but it was really cool he sent me links ahead of time because he knew I was a big fan and stuff. But when I was seeing him when he was working on Curb and stuff, he had enough time to stop. That show shot a lot differently, I guess. And he would sit there and chit-chat and whatnot. And invariably, every conversation, it would eventually lead to him going, when do you think we could do the Clerks cartoon again? Because he's got an episode that he desperately wants to do, and it'll be old at this point, but we'll honor it because it's funny nonetheless. He wanted to do the Kit episode. So his Mandel's dream episode of Clerks, if we had an episode 7, it's what it would have been, was Dante goes on Craigslist or eBay and winds up buying a car, winning a car for like fucking $10, $12 or something. He just needs a beater to get to work. And it winds up being Kit from Knight Rider. And it's the same voice and everything like that. And he's a little rusty, worse for wear and shit. But him and Dante become friends. You know, he's like, that's right, Dante. You know, he's constantly talking to him. And it makes Randall a little jealous of their friendship and shit like that. But then Dave's like, the twist is it becomes single white female. Remember that movie? This is how far this is going back. He's like, so the car falls in love with Dante and wants to replace Dante. So at one point, the car takes Dante out and locks it in its trunk and tries to pass as Dante. And so Randall walks into the convenience store, and there's Kit wearing Dante's sweater behind the counter going like, hello, Randall. It is I, Dante. So Dave wanted to do that episode, and then we never got picked up or anything. So that would be like the every time we sit there and talk, he's like, Ken, I want to tell that story. Now that he's got Veep fucking credibility and shit, he'd be the way in. Like, dude, fucking go to HBO. It won't cost that much money and shit. We don't need to do a series, just a 1-hour special where we tell that fucking story, and then we can let it ride and let it die and stuff. So we'll see. Hopefully, I always keep hope alive and stuff, and I think we'll get there eventually. I hope. All right, where are we going next? I see somebody with a lit thing. Is that a lighter?
Yeah, that's me right
Oh my God, you win. Go ahead.
Dude, I just have to say, like, you're in my top 3 favorite directors of all time.
I love Marc Bernardin as well.
Listen,
His early work more than his later work, but yes.
my mid-period gets really dark.
Yeah. Once he started making walrus movies, I lost interest in Marc Bernardin. Thank you, though.
Mark, I gotta say, I swear to God, we were just talking about this at the beginning of the episode. We're like, dude, Mark is a fucking genius, and shit that he fucking says on the show. I'm like, you need to fucking write. If you don't produce film, you need to at least fucking do a comic book. Like, we were talking about something that actually like made me shed a tear, which was actually something that like episode like 79, like it was way before you guys started doing this so often. Which was when you were talking about Batman. Like if you would review Gotham and how like Alfred after the death of Bruce's parents, Alfred took care of Bruce, and the psychiatrist out of the asylum wanted to take him in, they wanted to evaluate him, they wanted to help him out, and you were talking about how like Alfred actually took Bruce and was like, look, I know like he's talking to his parents, and I know like he's imagining all this, but it's helping him, he's doing change. And that whole entire conversation that you were talking about like how you would redo Gotham, swear to God, it made me shed a fucking tear. I heard that shit twice, and it's still just fucking hard.
He's a fucking great writer, Mark is, man. When you listen to the show, he's always got insight. Yes.
Is that okay? It's fine. Just keep talking. I'm gonna put myself together. I can be a man. Be a fucking man.
It's like being at an AA meeting, man. Like you're surrounded by people who desperately want to drink, and you're up front, and they applaud you. That's cool, right?
I'm digging it.
But it's not even that. It's just like everything. Your film analysis of like fucking Finding Nemo. Like I never looked at Finding Nemo the same way until you were talking about how it affects you and your daughter, and how it talked about like Nemo's about the story of a father wanting to go find his kid, and he eventually has to let him go. And I never looked at it that way. And like when you're just talking about it, you just you hit me right in the field, man. Like just hit me right.
Thank you. That's really sweet. There is the writing of things happening. There are always the writing of things happening. Whether or not anybody's paying me for these things I'm writing is another thing entirely. But no, I mean it's the thing that makes me happiest in the world is writing. Just I have a day job, which doesn't make me that happy, but it pays money.
It also includes writing, to be fair.
It does. It does. I mean, I love telling stories. Half the time I get to tell other people's stories, and I get to help people tell better stories. And then half the time I get to just fucking play on the page, and that is the most fun in the world. But thank you. Oh, there's a question, right?
Yeah. You thought it was just suck your dick hour?
I mean,
like the finest Belgian chocolate.
the snozberries taste like snozberries.
Man's got a fucking question. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah.
I missed it. Go, but fire into the question.
Okay, so Killing Joke's coming out tomorrow, and I want to hear your opinion on it, but I also want to hear if you had to actually go and like ask Warner Brothers to produce another animated movie, like whatever comic book, what would that also be?
Oh, fucking, I know what mine would be. Want me to go first?
You
while I
go
think
first.
About it?
Yeah.
Rock of Ages storyline from Justice League, just JLA comic that Grant Morrison wrote. He did this epic storyline called Rock of Ages where the Whirligog, the what did they call it? The sorcerer, fuck, they had a bunch of names for it. What was it? Howard Porter was the artist. I wasn't looking for that, but thank you very much. But you're absolutely right, man. At the end of the day, I always credit the writer. I'm a writer, so I always tend to be like Grant Morrison, and Grant Morrison did write it, but Howard Porter is, I have a page of his from this run. I was such a massive fan of his art. His Batman is one of my favorite fucking Batman on the planet, and that incarnation of the JLA was absolutely hands down my favorite, including going back to Super Friends, which I fell in love with as a kid. But boy, he balanced that team insanely well and told fucking wonderful stories that required all the strength of, you know, all these characters. It wasn't like, well, we'll leave somebody behind because we don't have any use for that character. He found a way to fucking use them all. But that storyline is epic. It went really long. It includes like these wonderful moments and scenes where it's a quasi-futuristic tale, so quite like Days of Future Past, you go to an alternate reality at one point, alternate future, where amazing fucked up things happen. But I mean, I'm spoiling if you've never read it, but if you were going to read it, cover your ears, count to 3, 1, 2, 3. Batman's appearance in the future is one of my favorite Batmans ever because Batman disappeared. Like Darkseid takes over the world. Darkseid is a massive issue where Darkseid makes his presence known, takes over the Earth, destroys everything in this alternate future. Batman's been gone forever, and everyone assumed he was fucking killed by parademons and shit like that. But it turns out he's been hiding. He killed Desaad, Darkseid's chief torturer. He outlasted the torturer. So he went through like 30 years of torture, and you see him like put on his cloak. He finally gets to put the cape and cowl back on after decades, and you see his body just lacerated from fucking whipping, torture, whatever fuck Desaad did to him. And his delivery is halted. The way they wrote him, like he has tics because he's been fucking tortured to near death. But Batman being Batman, he fucking made it past Desaad, flipped it, and if I remember the story correctly, he like did a fucking Hannibal Lecter where he fucking talked the motherfucker into it and then reflipped the table on him. So he's been waiting for years, hiding as Desaad to this moment where the heroes have assembled and they have one chance only to stop Darkseid. And it's like, in terms of the last Batman stories, it's absolutely my fucking favorite because he writes a whole issue, Grant Morrison, and Porter draws a whole issue that shows Death the Black Racer, which was a Jack Kirby creation for the New Gods, New Genesis characters, Apocalypse, those characters. Which was their representation of death in their world, was a guy, a skier. He was on poles and he was on skis and he was miniature and he wore like a knight's helmet, and if he showed up, that was your death. Meanwhile, if you saw that in real life, you'd be like, ha ha ha.
Like, it's the end of the world when there's a black dude on skis.
So he's there's of course narration in the book, and it's the voice of the Black Racer. They don't reveal it until the tail end of the book, but it's death, the representation of death. And the first time I'm reading it, you're thinking, oh my God, are they going to cross over Neil Gaiman's death? Who is death for them? And Grant Morrison went old school and pulled back Death, the Black Racer. And so at one point, he's like, my shadow, wherever my shadow falls, there falls an end. So he sees all these heroes banding together for this one opportunity to fucking end Darkseid before they can set things back right in the present time and stuff. It's brilliantly fucking written. I'm probably not doing it justice, but my favorite part of that book is it's so weird. It's a throwaway line, but it'll probably make me cry just talking about it because it was so fucking well written. Death, the Black Racer. Death comes for everybody. Death visits Ray Palmer. So Ray Palmer, the Atom, has a role to play. And so right as Ray is doing what he's supposed to do, I want to spoil it so bad. If you don't want to hear this, cover your ears. One, two, three. Connor Hawk, Green Arrow, sends a fucking flare arrow at Darkseid. Darkseid, of course, has a shield he can't be fucked with. Nobody could kill him because you can't penetrate it. But Ray is the Atom. He's a scientist. And so he figures out and he tells him while he's in his head, he's like, I know nothing could get through your force field, but I noticed that you can see. And if you could see, this is the brilliance of fucking Grant Morrison. He goes, if you could see, light gets through your force field, and I could shrink down to a beam of light. So he's tiny within the flare, enters Darkseid through his eye sockets and goes into the brain, and Darkseid cannot fucking do anything. Could you imagine you're the most powerful being in the world and something is in your fucking head and he's like, I'm just taking out your frontal lobe. And he's like, no! And he fucking wipes him out. And so inside Darkseid's brain, and they talk about the electrical storm is gonna take Ray. Ray Palmer's not gonna live through this and shit. He sees, and Black Racer narration kicks in, he's like, my shadow falls across him, and he's like, and this one, like a good scientist, asks me a question before he dies. I fucking love that, because he never tells you what the question is, but he goes, I say yes. What do you think the question was? Has to be like what any scientist would ask, are you death? That's what I went, but I'm a romantic. What do you think it is? Don't try to be funny. Fucking give a real answer.
That's a battle in my head because
I saw where you're going with it. You're like, I'm gonna steal this fucking room.
Or maybe it's like, is there an answer to the question?
That's even better. See, you're a fucking better writer than me, man. Anyway, I would love to see that animated. It's epic, and it was one of my favorite comic book stories ever written. Probably last. They've got a trade paperback of it. It's called Rock of Ages, but definitely worth checking out. What's yours?
Okay, first though. At the Star Trek premiere the other day, I'm standing on the sidewalk with a buddy who works for the Hollywood Reporter, and each of us have our tickets, and we each have a +1, and I wasn't using. I would have let all of you go if I knew who you were at the time. But so there's a guy standing there, like looking totally dejected, next to his girlfriend, bald, sunglasses, and I was like, "What's the matter?" I cannot get in my ticket. I don't have my ticket. It's like, I got an extra one if you want it. It's like, would you really? That's so nice of you. Thank you so much.
What is the accent?
Scottish. It's fucking Grant Morrison. Like, I'm standing there, like, Grant Morrison can't get into the Star Trek premiere, so I give him my extra ticket. Like,
First off, that is not a Scottish accent.
Listen.
By any stretch of the
Probably
imagination.
more Jamaican than Scottish.
Yes, it was. It was like, I can't get into Star Trek, man.
It was,
Irie.
it was a black electrode. That's what I was doing.
Really? Grant Morrison could get in Star Trek? You get him a ticket?
I give him a ticket.
Genius.
I made a Scottish man happy.
Tough to do, they say.
It is. So to answer your question, Transmetropolitan by Warren Ellis.
Wow. That's a long run.
It's a long run. I would make it a fucking series. I would make it a 100-episode animated series about Transmetropolitan, because now is the fucking time for that story. Now is the time for the evil politician. Spider Jerusalem and the Smiler. Like, I want to see that story.
Cool. Good answer. Way better than mine. Fuck. All right, where are we going next? Right there. That jersey looks familiar.
From New Jersey.
That's right.
My name is Robert. Honored to meet you, gentlemen. I had a question. A couple of podcasts ago, you mentioned about Vigilante. Adrian Chase is going to be on the Arrow. Have you gentlemen read all of that series? There's 50 issues, and you said how it ended on to issue 50. But have you ever read the full thing, and do you think there'll be a spin-off possibly?
I've never read all of it. Jason Mewes read all of it. I read big parts of it, and then I particularly skipped to the end because Walter was my Walter Flanagan from Comic Book Men. He was my comic book guru back in the day. So he was like, "It's all right. Skip to the end. It'll fuck your brain up." And so I was like, "All right." And I went and read the last issue and was like, Jesus fucking Christ. For anybody that doesn't know, should we spoil it? We should. Nobody's going to fucking read it.
We're spoiling everything else.
That's true. There's a book, it's an old-ass DC comic book called Vigilante. Adrian Chase was the main character's name. The book lives up to its name as Vigilante. He had a far more, fucking colorful outfit than just a guy like a Death Wish character, but that's kind of what he was to some degree. He went out and fucking righted wrongs. But at the tail end of the fucking book, he kills himself, doesn't he?
Right.
That's the last book.
He goes around and he goes on a spree, and then he ends up
He kills all the bad guys, and then finally he just kills himself. It's like one of the most depressing ends to a comic book. But if they do that on Arrow, I'm in. That'd be amazing. If at the end of it, episode 23 of season 5 or whatever, he's like, "What's the point?" You're like, "Holy shit! Comics have come to life in death."
I can't see a sequel to that, though. I feel like that's a hard... I've never read it, so I'm going to be that dick.
I started when I was 12, and I read that, and it had nudity, and I was like 12, and that was the first time I could go to comics and see that.
You could proudly buy a comic that you're like, "Hey man, it's just a comic book," and then take it home and be like, "Double usage. It's got nudity." That's true. It had nudity and shit.
The comic's cold.
But was it in Baxter format? Do I remember that correctly?
Colored picture, and it was expensive comic.
If I remember correctly, I think it was in what they called Baxter format back then, when they made this first step from like the old, if you collect comics from fucking the start of comics all the way up to like the late 80s, early 90s, it's put on newsprint. It's just literally the same paper inside a comic book that you would put on in a newspaper. When they got to like Baxter format, that was like one of the first times they were like, "Let's class this up. This is on glossy paper," or something like that. And you were like, "Oh, this is worth $1.50," because that was when they made the jump to past $1. You were still buying comics for like 65, 75 cents, sometimes 99 cents. Everyone holding the line until one day they were like, if we put it on better paper, we can fucking juice this up a little bit. And
Longbow Hunters, you want this, right?
Yes. That was bookshelf format, man.
Prestige.
Prestige. They introduced that. What was the first one they did? Wasn't Gilgamesh, fuck, I forget. But DC did a book that, is today's common paper cardboard. I don't know what they call it these days and stuff. But something that's on that card stock or whatever. We used to call it prestige format. At one point they called it bookshelf format. When they first introduced that, like all of our minds were blown because suddenly they were treating this shit like with respect. Like, this feels like a book. Prior to that, it was like a pamphlet, as Warren Ellis used to call it and stuff like that. Easily disposable because it was on newsprint. But for some reason, you treated it more legitimately. At least my mother did. She'd be like, "This feels good, Tiger," And I was like, "Yeah, no more cheap comic books for me, Ma." So that book was one of those books, if I remember. And it must have had, like, they didn't have, the Comics Code was involved. Maybe that was, maybe DC did a run of books that didn't include the Comics Code, because that ended so fucked up and did include nudity. That was a really grown-up title long before Vertigo ever existed.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
I was a fan after that.
I know. It's the kind of thing that makes you go like, "Oh my God, if you kill your main character at the end of this book, sell me all of your fucking books, man. I can't wait for them all to end now." How does Superman go out?
I think he was a fan because of the boobs.
That too, right?
I love these. What? More of this?
Don't kill yourself, boobs. All right, where are we going to go next? Wayne, let me see. You pick.
I think that's a blonde lady right there. Hey.
You can see that?
These are bionic.
Well done.
Yeah.
How are you? So good.
Australians bearing gifts. Are they going to kill us? Everyone else in Australia will kill you?
You could totally bring him up.
We bought you scorpions. That is also not an accent.
Not at all.
It is like just a rolling dice what accent shows
You really
up.
are.
And
It's like you
never
open
a
your
good
mouth
one.
and just like, "Gaw, gaw, 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 gaw."
Blimey!
You're like, British. What gifts did you bring us?
We brought you Tim Tams.
You brought Tim Tams. Every Australian I ever meet brings me Tim Tams, and that's why I'm fat. Thank you very much. In Australia, they have this thing called a Tim Tam Slam. You fucking bite this cookie, you stick it in your coffee and shit, and then you eat it, and it's all soggy, and then you drown it with coffee. It's a tradition. But these cookies are fucking good. What's your name?
My name's Elle.
Everyone give it up for Elle.
Yay!
She brought Tim Tams. What is this?
Sticker.
Adorable stickers. Zombie socks. Explain what that is.
Made this for you.
Oh my God, it's a Jay and Silent Bob rendering. What is this? I look like a Pokemon. What the fuck is the internet? Turn around, show them. That's adorable. What is zombie socks? Explain.
Well, just my fiance actually came up with the character. He's a robot dinosaur with a human brain. And he likes collecting. He likes collecting comics. He likes doing all that stuff. So we've decided to market him on T-shirts and prints and posters, and we sell them at conventions and stuff. And yeah, we wanted to get this to you so that you could wear yourself.
That's fucking awesome. Yeah, that's the Silent Bob version. Have you ever been to San Diego Comic-Con before?
Last year, yeah.
First time?
Yeah.
You like?
Yeah, I love it here.
Is it work or fun?
Both. It's fun getting to do work here.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it was adorable. As soon as you got on stage, you realized your skirt was too short. You're like, I gotta pull this shit fucking down. Oh my God, they're gonna see it all. They're gonna see my Tasmania. Thank you for this so much. Give it up for her, ladies and gentlemen. Careful going off that. Or you can go that way. Very careful.
How many cons is this for you?
This one, I said fucking go away. Go that way. This first one I ever went to was 1995. We came here with Mallrats, and we did a screening of Mallrats at Horton Plaza, the theaters over there. Now, I'd heard about the con my whole life as a comic book reader. You'd read about the San Diego Comic-Con in sometimes the letters column of comic books you read. Remember, there was no internet for us when we were kids, so information was sparse. You'd read about it in Starlog, sometimes Fangoria.
I worked for those.
Did you really? For both?
Yeah.
For Starlog and Fangoria?
Yeah, my first job out of college was for Starlog. And in that office, there were only 6 editors, so we read everything. So I edited stories in Fango and in Starlog and in Comic Scene, I think, at the time.
Yes, Comic Scene was the other magazine.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
I'm an old
dude.
man.
I would have dropped the mic right there. Like, that's a dream career, man, working for those guys. So, we didn't have access to a lot of information. Wait, fucking, what was I talking about?
How many Comic-Cons?
Comic-Cons.
95.
So I'd never been. I'd heard about it. I knew what it was, Mecca for any comic book fan, but I'd never been. It was something that happened on the other side of the world as far as I was concerned, even though it was only on the other side of the country. So we made Mallrats, and Universal was like, let's take it down to Comic-Con. I actually suggested, I was like, can we show the movie at Comic-Con, because this is a movie that I think people at Comic-Con would really get into. So they said, okay, and they set up a screening at the Horton Plaza, and it was a packed screening, man. It happened, so 21 years ago this happened. Came down here, showed the movie. Theater was packed, and it played religiously, like better than any movie I think I've made before, since there was only one movie before. Played in a public setting. It was fucking insane. People were tearing up the seats. It was that good and shit. So Tom Pollock was the head of Universal, and he was here at the time, and he goes, I was working at Universal during Animal House. He's going, this is going to do Animal House business. And at the time, Animal House was the highest grossing like R-rated comedy of all time, like over 100 million it made. So, I was like, get out of here, man. Are you kidding me? And they're like, yeah, this is going to do serious business, man. This is unbelievable. Thing was, we were showing it to the only 200 people in the world who wanted to see it at that point. We all happened to be here because that's who that movie was made for. Like when, the internet started, or even when it got to home video, it would start flowing out. Water finds its level. It would find people who were like, this speaks to me. But then, man, it spoke to everyone it was going to speak to. So we based it on that screening. He thought, we're going to do fucking huge. We're going to do 100 million, they said. He was off by $98 million.
Plus or minus 98 million?
A little bit, yeah. I know there's a margin of error. So when we left the Comic-Con, we were in 7th Avenue. We're like, oh my God, the movie works like crazy. And it would be out a couple months later and then die at the box office. We were able to convince him to do our movie poster. To get Drew Struzan, the great Drew Struzan, who did all the Star Wars posters, Indiana Jones posters in our childhood and stuff, to do the poster. And they gave us posters that looked very hip and young and probably were the smart direction that would have connected with an audience of that day. But we were like, we based it, we were so young in our career, me and Scott Mosier, we were like, would we really want this poster hanging up in our house? Like, you got to live with this poster the rest of your life. Do you like that? And so we were like, we don't like these posters. Can we come up with a poster concept? And they said, yeah, I guess. And we came up with what you see. And so, it was a real stick figure version of it and shit. And they were like, okay, so are you guys going to do this? Like, no, can you get Drew Struzan to do this? And they were like, okay. And they went and got him. And I guess they didn't ask him how much until later, because they were like, do you know this guy's fucking expensive? I was like, yeah, he's one of the best. And so he created that poster, which is beautiful and fucking like looks fantastic in my house and in our office. But that's not how you market a movie. We put a comic book on a bus stop ad, a giant comic book, in 1995. We were about 10 years too early. So most people drove past and they're like, oh, a new magazine's coming out. And that was it. People didn't know it was a fucking movie and stuff. So that was the first year I came here, was 95. I came back the next year. Holy shit, this is my 20th anniversary of coming with thank you, of coming with, without doing like that was like, we're gonna show a movie. The next year I elected to come by myself. We didn't have a movie or anything like that. We were in production. We just finished shooting Chasing Amy, but we just wanted to come. And so I set up a table and we sold stuff and shit like that and signed shit. And that was where Stan Lee came to visit us. We'd already shot the movie and stuff, but I had one of the first of two of my most terrifying fucking moments with Stan Lee in my life, man. Because Stan Lee, this was going back 21 years ago. Stan Lee's like 92, 93 today. So he was still an old man then. Like he was 70 something. So he came over to see us and we were doing a signing on the floor or something. We were up a few stairs, like maybe 6 or whatever, onto a little platform stage. And so he came up to visit because he was in Mallrats, and we screened the movie. He was like, hey, Kevin, how are you? And hugging me and Jay, and we were chit-chatting and stuff. And he goes, okay, I'm going to get out of here, spider friend. Good seeing you. And he's heading away, and the dude does not look as he's walking away, still talking to Jay, going, goodbye, Jay, and literally goes off the fucking stairs. Bam, 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 to the fucking floor. And I'm like, ah! Because the first thing goes to my head is like that would hurt anybody, let alone a 70-year-old, man. And then I was thinking, oh my God, fucking the whole con's gonna think that I killed Stan Lee. Like in a jealous rage, I was like, I created the Avengers and pushed him down the stairs. So it was fucking horrifying. Luckily, though, and it's fucking crazy, man. That dude sprung back to his feet. One of the most spry 70-year-olds you ever saw in your life. I don't know if he could do the same thing today, but like at age 70, 71, he popped back up. He's like, it's all good. And it was... Excelsior! Absolutely.
Looked off into the night.
I was shocked he wasn't like, it's all good, flame on. And then just took off and burned the stairs out of revenge. Never do that again, spider friend. So that was the first fucking terrifying incident. The second one happened during the very recording of this show. Fat Man on Batman, Stan came over and did one of the early episodes, and he talked about meeting and knowing Bob Kane and stuff. It's a wonderful episode. It's about an hour long and stuff. Came over the house, chit-chatted. He was great. Afterwards, he was leaving. My house, we recorded on the top floor. So there's 4 floors in my house. First floor is like a garage floor, but there's 3 serious floors with 3 serious flights of steps, and the steps are kind of made out of, what would you call that shit, terracotta or something like that?
Tile.
Like tile. It's hard. So it's not, there's no rugs or anything. I begged my wife, like, can we get some carpet? She's like, no, this is beautiful. But people fall and cut themselves and hurt themselves on it and shit like that. It's beautiful with the blood on it. So the house is wonderfully appointed and stuff, but yeah, it's like you don't want people falling down in that house. So Stan's leaving, and I'm like, take the elevator. We have an elevator. It's not like an elevator like at a department store. It's more like a dumbwaiter, but you could stand in it and stuff. It's because the kitchen's on the top floor. That's how you get groceries up from the garage. So I said, Stan, take the elevator, man. It goes all the way down to the first floor. He goes, no, I like to walk. And Max, who's his dutiful handler, his silent Bob, if you will, was just like, oh no. Like we had an elevator choice, fuck. But, you know, Stan, this is going back maybe 2 years ago, so he's 91 and stuff. He's going down the stairs, chit-chatting while he's going. And the whole time I'm saying to him, like a dutiful parent or somebody else's parent talking to a kid visiting their house, hold the railing, turn around. Don't look at me, look down there. Like, watch your step. And the whole time he's talking while he's walking and stuff like that. We get down the first perilous set of steps from the top floor, and I'm like, huh. Then there's a landing, but then there's another fucking just as long set of steps, and you're talking about like 140 steps or some such shit, to get down to the tile floor. And which, when you get there, then there's a mini platform, like one step down to the actual landing, then 8 steps down to the front door, all of it fraught with hard tile peril. So I'm watching him like crazy and stuff and saying, Stan, look forward, look forward. Finally, we get down the second set of steps all the way to the bottom. And at this point, I'm like, Max is here, he's here, he knows where he's going. We're done with the steps. There's only those steps down there, and plus this one little step that I'm sure he knows is there. And then he's out to the door. So I stop at the bottom of the steps because I don't want him to feel like, you know, I'm walking into the door and shit like that. He's independent and shit. So I say, all right, Stan, like, you guys know the way out. There's an exit button. You press exit and then the door opens and stuff. As I just press the exit button, you guys are out. Excellent seeing you. And Max walks away first, and Stan is walking away too. And I'm looking at him saying, excellent seeing you. And he says, okay, great seeing you, Kev. Good seeing you. He turns around to leave. And he's, again, going to be fine. He takes one step off this thing. He goes down the stairs. There's the door. But right before he hits the landing, he turns to go, you know what, Kev? And literally falls 1 foot off the landing. So he didn't expect it. He went backwards, which is bad, period, for a 91-year-old. But then there's the 8 steps that he is now teetering back toward. And I know for a fact, I'm watching my future play out in front of me. Ex-actor / podcaster kills legendary Stan Lee in his house. And so I'm like, no! And I'm too far away to make a difference, man. But fucking Max, God bless him, turns around when I'm like, oh, he hears the utterance of like, uh-oh, Stan's in trouble. And hands on his hips, totally. He's the Aquaman of Stan Lee. He just senses it. He instantly fucking dives in and catches this man right before this precious cranium full of mythology and legends and dreams would have shattered like a fucking melon on my steps. Fucking Max caught him. I was like, God damn it, Max. And Max brings him to the door. I was like, Stan, Jesus, watch where you're going. And it was like, it's okay. It's all good, Spider friend. He walks out the door. Like nothing happened. He walks out the door. Max goes, 4th time today. And then out to follow him to... Ladies and gentlemen of San Diego, have you had a good time this evening? We cannot thank you enough for coming out, man, but give it to the man who owned the show tonight, Mr. Marc fucking Bernardin. Guys. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Fat Man on Batman. This week, I'm Kevin Smith.
I'm Marc Bernardin.
Join us next week, same fat time, same fat channels, podcast.com or
YouTube.com/Kevin Smith.
That's it, folks. Good night. Hey man, it's me, Kevin Smith. Thanks for watching. Do me a favor, click that thing below that says subscribe. Every time you click that, you save a baby kitten from murder.